All right, guys. It's 8:02. I'm sure some more people come straggling in. No problem. Thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate you guys as always. Hope your seasons are off to a good start. And I don't know how many games we've really had so far. I've only had one softball game to date, but it's gonna get busy real quick. So let's all be ready for that. Make sure that you're talking to your partners before the game so you know who's doing the plate because as you know, um, Catholic League it doesn't even designate who's on the plate and who's not. And I don't know about wagon shoots, but I know Bob. He just puts somebody on the plate and puts somebody on the bases. It doesn't matter which. You guys need to work it out amongst yourselves who is on the plate and who's not. And as Gary says, do not be a plate dodger. Everybody hates those people. So
Hmm.
the other thing is that the MIGs have been updated. So if you should go into your you should go into the MHSA.com and on your and on the page you should see a green check mark next to MIGs for your sport, which is softball. If you do not see a green check mark on your dashboard, click on it. Make sure that it does not say um, that you are that you are a member in good standing. And if you feel that you are a member in good standing, then please shoot me a note or Mike Schramm a note, and we'll get it taken care of ASAP. Unless you didn't pay your dues or something, then you'll have to pay your dues before you get to be MIGs, okay? All right, so I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions? Just go ahead and, if you do, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask. Um, I see somebody 309 has a question. All right, maybe not. I'm gonna, whoever that phone number is, 309-205, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you again. And Carl, take it away.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I
Want
can.
to make sure. Okay. If somebody can't or whatever, let me know. And then you should be able to see my pointer moving around. So I'll try to use that a little bit today too.
I can see
So,
that as well.
all right, great. Thank you. So today's training is going to be on two-man base mechanics. So we're going to cover some responsibilities. We're going to cover positioning. We're going to cover some inside out or work in the rim philosophy. Those of you that do not have my email or my phone number, I have listed it here so that you can copy that down. Feel free to email, text, call me. Make sure you let me know who you are. If I don't have your number saved, I won't know who you are and most likely may not answer right away. But once you leave me a text or leave me a voicemail, I'm happy to get back to you or email for that matter. And as Tony said, if you have questions, in the course of this, please, this should be interactive. Let's talk through some things if we need to, and we'll get rolling. Come on, just thinking. There we go. So first of all, base umpire responsibilities, right? So you have responsibility of all plays at first and second base. You have the first play in the infield by an infielder at first, second, or third base. And you have the batter runner at third base. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is this is going to be a theme you're going to hear today. Um, this would be, let's say, nobody on, right? You start in the A position, which you see here, nobody on. Um, and the batter runner hits a triple. Um, those of us that don't move as well as we used to, or are heavier than we used to be, or have metal in their body and can't run as fast as they used to, um, sometimes get hung up or get behind. Um, I don't see that there is a giant problem with the plate umpire calling the base umpire off, with the exception of make sure that if you're going to deviate from this book mechanic, that you also communicate that with each other prior to the game, right? and then also communicate that during the game. If I'm the plate umpire, I'll be yelling, "Hey Tony, I got third. Hey Tony, I got third." He's going to hear me. I'm going to be moving towards third base, and then Tony knows to let up, right? Um,
Hey Carl, when you say let up, should the fielding umpire start making its way toward home if there's an overthrow and the batter runner decides to come home?
yeah, so this is a bone of contention with a lot of people, right? And thank you for bringing that up, Steve. So some people say absolutely not. Base umpire is there. The only reason the base umpire would take over home plate would be if the plate umpire just spills, right? And falls or makes contact with a runner or something goofy happens, right? But I would tell you that it would make sense for that or that base umpire to, when they're called off, right? They've watched that runner touch second, turn and face that runner going to third, right? But as that's occurring, get towards the circle, if not all the way in the circle, and start heading towards home, right? Because inevitably what can happen is that what if there's an overthrow at third that hits a really short fence, right? Or in some cases a door or something like that that's got some padding and it bounces right back to the third baseman and now we're in a rundown or something weird like that, right? I would tell you that it would make sense for that base umpire to head towards home and communicate verbally, "Hey, I'm at four," right? And then the plate umpire is not stuck in no man's land. I know that in some respects or in some people's opinion that goes against philosophy, but I think it only makes sense. But again, if you're going to deviate from the book, please communicate that with each other prior to so that the two of you know that no matter what, this is what we're going to do and we're going to talk to each other. Um, Matter of fact, last Tuesday, I think Shram and I worked together at Country Day. This happened several times. And so, hey, look, Mike, I got third. I was on the plate. Mike, I got third, and Mike peeled down, into the circle and was ready to take anything at home if we needed to, if that needed to occur. Um, so starting positions. So nobody on, you're going to be in the A position. I'll show you where that is in later slides in diagrams if you don't know. B position would be a runner on first base only. So an A is actually in foul territory past first base, 18 to 20-ish feet. B position is on the first base side of the second baseman. And C position is behind the shortstop. Depending on where runners are, it could be on the second base side, or it could be on the third base side of the third base shoulder of the shortstop if you've got runners on second and third or bases loaded. So next thing would be hey, let's talk about angles, right? 90 degrees from the throw, 90 degrees from the tag. If you're like me, hey man, like I was told there'd be no math. Math is not my thing. So dummy this down a little bit, right? Use the letter L if you don't want to use 90 degrees. The point of it is that the umpire is in one line from the base, 90 degrees or L from where the throw is coming from, if at all possible, right? Um, Angle trumps distance. So we've talked about this before. This really comes into play when you are like in the C position, right? And you've got to force out at first base, right? So you got to either runners on second and third or a lone runner on third, and you've got a hot shot to either the shortstop or the third baseman and you are stuck in no man's land out by the grass and you're looking all the way across the diamond, I would suggest to you that you move towards second base if you can to get as close to a 90-degree angle as you can, because in that instance, angle trumps distance, right? So if you've got a throw coming from one of the players in front of you, you should be heading parallel to the base path towards second base and getting that as close to a 90-degree angle as you can at first, and we'll go over why that is here in another slide or two. Use distance. So zoom out, see more. Zoom in, see less, right? The worst thing you could do would be crowd of play. You can, the downsides to doing things like that are you can miss elements of what it is you're looking at. You can come in contact with one of the players. The ball is more likely to come in contact with you. You're more likely to not get to your next responsibility fast enough, because of what I just said, right? You can get tied up with somebody. That's the last thing you want, is to be making contact with players out on the field, if simply because you're too close to a play. Make sure that what you see is what you call. Please don't guess. Be believable. When you can't get a good angle, so like if it's a banger at first, like I was talking about earlier, and you're in the C position and you got people in front of you, you didn't get a good enough jump. Things happen quickly. It's happened to all of us. um, Make sure that you take a second, use some timing, use some tempo, watch what elements you should be watching if it's a force out or a tag, and then make a good strong call. And then look, if a coach wants to come out and talk to you, you've tried to get to the best place you could. You've been boisterous and demonstrative about what it is you're calling. And if they want you to go to your partner, you can go to your partner and talk about what things you may need to talk about, right? In that instance, maybe, I would suggest that you kind of leave your ego a little bit and talk to each other. And if your partner says, hey, man, I don't really know, or if you say to your partner, hey, like I might need some help here, right? I had a bad spot. Um, Talk that through with each other and then stick with whatever it is you call, right? Your only friend is your partner. So
Hey,
um,
Carl, really
make sure
fast.
you communicate that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just really fast. Can you just go over, because we've already had a couple of coaches come out this season, and in both cases it was done incorrectly. Can you just go over the MHSAA, the federation rules with respect to a challenge?
Yeah. So when coaches want to come in, hopefully you address this at your plate meeting, first of all, right? Coaches are not allowed to come bounding out of the dugout and screaming and hollering and yelling time and getting into play before you've given them time. That's first and foremost, right? So hopefully you've covered that at your plate meeting. Okay. Also, next is you judgment calls, right? So force outs, that's a judgment call, right? So they cannot challenge judgment calls. Fair and foul, they cannot uh, challenge those types of things, right? What they can do is they can maybe look at drop third strikes, right? That you've missed as a home plate umpire, and the base umpire might be able to see. Um, Dropped fly balls, they might be able to challenge some of that, right? So I would suggest that you let them know, hey, coach, what exactly is it that you're asking me to go to my partner for? That's one. Two, though, they should go to the umpire that's made the call first, right? Not just right to the home plate umpire because they're the closest. And then if they've come to you and they've said, hey, I think she was forced out at first base. And you say, well, coach, uh, what do you want me to do? And the coach says, well, I think you had a better angle. Then your response to them should be, coach, I'm sorry, that's not a challenge that you're able to make under what you just explained to me. We need to move on.
Hey,
The
Carl.
only, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Sorry.
with that, well, two things. One, I would say that the biggest thing that is going to be challenged is whether or not that foot was on the base,
Yep.
or that's usually going to be if the foot was pulled off,
Yep.
or if the foot got back down on a jump before the person got there. Those types of things, those are challengeable. The
Yep.
other thing that I would ask you, though, because I don't know the answer to this, And I get into a pickle every time it happens to me, and it's only happened twice, but um, is where your partner comes up to you and says, "I didn't have an angle.
Yeah.
What did you see?"
Yep.
And then if you had something different, it's somebody's really going to be unhappy because they
Sure.
may very well know that that's not a challengeable call. But
And yep.
what is your advice on that?
All right. So Tony's absolutely right. So the reason I suggested to you all to ask the coach what it is they're trying to challenge is because of what Tony just said. So really, the only challengeable things as a home plate umpire for a forced play at a base is, except for home, is was there a pulled foot and was there a swipe tag that was either missed or successful, right?
Or did the ball, or did they catch the ball?
Or,
Like it went
or
into
did
the
they
dirt or
catch the ball? Did
something.
they trap it? Something like
Yeah.
that, right? Was the ball even in their glove? But if they don't ask you those questions, then I would tell you that is not a successful challenge. And coach, that is not something you can challenge. I'm sorry, and you move along, right? That's for high school. Okay. To Tony's second point is that if you've been doing this for a minute, we've all had the situation happen that Tony's talking about, where, hey, look, I really don't know, right? And when I say I really don't know, I mean more things like not things like, hey, I'm not really sure if she beat the throw out or not, right? Like it was so close that I brain fart and can't make a decision to whether to call safe or out. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you got in a bad place or somebody got in your way that you weren't expected and you had a really crappy view, right? And you just really don't know. Then I would tell you that if a coach comes out, you should do the right thing, talk to the coach, but then go talk to your partner, right? And see what your partner says to you. Ultimately, we're there to try to get it right. In my opinion, there is nothing wrong with an umpire making a decision to go to their partner and ask their partner if they saw something different than what you saw, right? And then you two make a decision together and live with it. Yes, someone is going to be unhappy, right? But that's the nature of doing this job, and that kind of thing happens. You need to be able to stand on what you saw, go with what the two of you talked about, and move along. That would be my suggestion. But I would again say to you, don't make it a habit like all the time, repeatedly, right? It should only be occasionally, if, maybe once, twice a year kind of thing, like Tony's talked about, right? Where you've just, something's happened that you was just unavoidable. Or, or that you just don't know, right? Like I don't know if she dropped it or not. You make a call one way or the other, and then if you really need to go talk to your partner, go talk to your partner. That would be my suggestion. Steve, I don't know, or Tony, I don't know if you have, something against that, but that is how I would operate.
No, no, that's good stuff. I mean, like I said, uh, it puts the plate umpire in a really bad position because that person's going to take the blame for the fact that the base umpire maybe wasn't in the best position to make a call or
Yep,
something like that. So do mind your mechanics. That's what this is all about.
yep,
Because if you're in the right place, the the vast majority of the time you're going to have good line of sight and you're going to see the play properly.
yep. I would agree 100%.
But things do happen. It
Absolutely.
just shouldn't happen very often.
Yep. Especially those of us that do some non-varsity, right? Sub-varsity games. Man, nowadays you just don't know, right? Like they get a lot of kids that haven't played ball before, and then all of a sudden you're in the B position and you're trying to make a call at first base, and for whatever reason the second baseman just stops right in front of you or takes some weird angle for some reason and blocks you out, right? I mean, these kinds of things happen. So, I mean, you just got to do the best you can to see what you can see, make a call on what you saw, And then if you two need to talk to each other, then you should.
Right. But start with being in the right place.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, especially in softball, it is not, it really isn't as difficult as people might think. There are some positions that we'll get into here in a little bit that can be a little more difficult to achieve than others, but the vast majority of times you have plenty of time. And if you read things correctly or get used to reading things correctly, there's really not much excuse for not being in the right place at the right time. All right, so let's talk about suggested distances, right? Again, the word suggested. Is anyone going to come to your game and go, dude, you were 25 feet away, or dude, you were 14 feet away, you're too close, you're too far? No. Just think about what is being said here, right? 15 to 18 feet for force plays. Zoom out, get a big picture, right? So you have a lot more, you have a lot of elements going on force plays. About 10 feet for tag plays. Zoom in if you need to. Zoom in meaning zoom your vision in, not necessarily yourself. Don't creep down much closer than 10 feet, right? That's when you start getting yourself into trouble. But this is something I see more than anything else is I see people moving and running because they've either not read the play right or they are too slow or they are just being lazy, quite frankly, and they're kind of, half-ass jogging or taking a step late because they didn't move in the first place, and they're moving when they're making calls. That is not something you should do. Get to where you need to be, get set, see what you need to see, and then make a call from there. What do you want to do as an umpire? Number one, keep the ball in front of you. Do not turn your back on the ball as a base umpire, especially at sub-varsity levels with throws coming from the outfield. If you're standing on the outside and you're facing inside the diamond with the ball behind you, you're asking to get hit with a ball. It will happen. It's happened to most of us, and it will happen to you. So make sure that you are applying some of the philosophies we're going to talk about today and keep this ball in front of you. Other wants, the base, the runner, and the fielder in front of you as well, right? Try to be as close to 90 degrees from the throw on a force play. Try to be as close to 90 degrees from the application of a tag on a tag play. Move parallel with runners. So if you're in the B position and you got a girl stealing second base, she was on first, move parallel with her. Work to make yourself move sideways without creeping in towards the base path, right? Try to keep in a lane by yourself. Draw an imaginary like umpire lane for you to run to and get set at second base when that throw comes. Be 15 to 18 feet away from a force play. Be about 10 feet away on a tag play. And then again, be set for every play. So let's talk about some elements, right? Elements of a force play. You have catch or not. You have defensive foot on the bag. And has she caught the ball and have her foot on the base prior to the runner making contact with the base? Notice I said prior to. That's important. What is a tie? Is there a tie in softball? No, there is not. If you honest to goodness think that the foot of the runner and the ball were absolutely simultaneous, ball in the webbing of the glove and foot touching the base, and you really think that's a tie, there is no such thing as the adage of tie goes to the runner. That's an out. They must beat the throw to first base. So a tie is not beating the throw to first base, right? If anybody disagrees with that, let's have that discussion. Force plays, again, zoom out so you can see all three of these elements. Be set, Let the ball bring your eyes to the play. Eyes should beat the ball. So look at this graphic, right? Two plays that are exactly the same. If I'm 15 to 18 feet away, I can see all the elements that we just talked about pretty easily. I can see ball, I can see foot on base, and I can see runner touching the bag. If I'm too far in, if I'm inside of 10 feet, or even at 10 feet, maybe, I might miss this element right here, right? Or I could even miss a foot on the bag because if I'm looking here, I've turned my head because I'm too close and I'm really concentrating on did this ball make it in the glove and I've missed something else. Well, you might have been able to see all of that if you were this far away versus this close. Where this becomes a little bit difficult is people that start off in the A position and they don't get a good angle on that ball coming from the third baseman or the shortstop from across the diamond, right? Get out and get off of that foul line and get yourself a good angle to see all the elements you need to see. So again, A position, right? No runners on, umpires out 18, 20 feet or so down the foul line. You're in the standing position. So I prefer walking with the pitch or step to ready, as some people refer to it as. Do I think that the people that are hey, put their hands in their hip, like in the crease of their hip underneath their abdomen and kind of bend over a little bit as the home plate umpire squats down? I'm not so opposed to that either. I think either one looks okay. The theory here is that if your body is in some type of motion, even though it's not very demonstrative or it's not very far or it's not very much, at least it's moving so that you don't have to react from being standing still, right? You should, if you are a walk the line or step to ready person, I would tell you that your left foot should be the foot that you would step forward with when that pitch is delivered. And that way your foot is planted and you can make your next step with your right foot based off of wherever this ball is hit. If this ball is hit anywhere on the infield, your step should be in this direction and you should be set up over in here someplace. If the ball is to the outfield, again, your step could be this way. It could be coming inside the base, but more than likely it's going to be in this direction if it's in right center field, left center field, or left field. It's going to be parallel just like it would be if it was a force play. I think the worst
Well,
thing you can do is just stand still and wait for if you take nothing away, don't do that, right? Move a little bit. Go ahead, Tony.
I'm sorry. I just missed where when you said like let's say it goes to the right fielder who has a really good
Yeah,
arm, and we're going to have
yeah,
a play at first base. Why don't you
yep.
just walk them through that?
So there are two things here that you could do, right? Um, the the vast majority of people are going to do what's called a button hook, right? So what's the one what did we talk about a slide or two ago is keep the ball in front of you. So your responsibility, if it's a hot shot, either down the line or a line drive through to the right fielder, the worst thing you can do is stand here and turn around and look, right? Don't do that. Either button hook in this direction and turn looking at first base as that batter runner is coming and keep that ball that's out here coming at you. That's option one, right? Option two would be to,
You got to be pretty swift to do that
you do
though.
need to be pretty swift, but again, that's why if you're moving, right? Hopefully you can read that fast enough to do that. Most of us that are older and don't move as well, again, this is going to come into a situation where it's if you're going to deviate, communicate. Hopefully, you've communicated this prior to the game. But in that same scenario where you have a hot shot down the line or a line drive to the right fielder, you should come over in this direction here and open up and have that ball coming at you with a runner coming this way, right? Now, this does two things. This indicates what? This indicates that the home plate umpire now needs to come out and be in this circle or in this section here. You, as the base umpire, still have touch here, force out here. Home plate umpire can come out. They've already judged fair or foul if it's down the line and still have time to come out, or they judge catch, no catch. They can come out, and now they have runners at all bases other than first, right? In this situation, to Steve's point earlier, once that runner commits and has obtained second base, your home plate umpire is out here. You should be coming this direction as though we were working three man and be telling your partner, hey, I got four, and now your partner's got two and three. Again, hopefully the two of you have communicated that with each other, and that works out pretty well. I would suggest to you that you not go out on fly balls if at all possible. Most fields are marked well enough. The fences are good. There's really not many issues. I would tell you to not be one of those guys that every time the ball goes over your head, you turn your back and go out here. I would tell you to not do that. I would tell you to either get to this spot or button hook in and be in the middle. Any questions about any of that from anyone? All right. So again, 90 degrees, a throw from third base, right? So you've got your L, it's just backwards. You've come off of A position. You're not in this spot, right? You're more out this way. This does a couple things for you. Ball's coming. If it gets through this girl into the fence, you're already closer to second base. You can just move parallel, right? And you're watching runner coming at you. You have the ability to watch throw coming at you, and you can set up somewhere in this position, right, to make a call for a possible throw at second. It also would allow you to round second if it's really stuck and hung up over here. It would also allow you to round second, still keeping the ball and the defender in between you and what call you're making, and have the ability to get to third. Again, hopefully, the home plate umpire and you have communicated, and if that situation occurs, they're helping you. Doesn't always happen, but the option is there for sure. Shortstop, same kind of thing, except for you're not quite as far off, right? You're still looking for your angle. Um, First base, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, right? Do I really have a 90-degree angle coming from the second baseman? No, I don't. That's just kind of inherent of where we sit. What I would tell you though is if that ball comes to the second baseman and it's just a shot right to the second baseman, please don't come over here. Please get off the line and be where you are, where you should be, right? And make that call. Um, the, don't get hung up over here and get in a bad habit of doing that when the ball is at an infielder right here in front of you. Not ideal, and overthrows are a problem, right? Like I said, help from the home plate umpire. No plate umpire help needed here. You should have time to be able to move if you need to. But you're going to have a lot of things to look at here, right? You've got, was her foot on the base? Did she catch the ball? Did that beat the runner? Um, did did she miss the ball and then commit obstruction? These are things you need to look at. So don't turn your head and run away, right? Make sure you're seeing and paying attention to the things that need to be paid attention to here. I would also tell you, do we have any? I haven't seen any so far. Do we have any schools that use double bases, Tony or Steve, that you know of?
Not that
None
I
of them.
know
They're
of.
not supposed
Okay.
to.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we don't, right? That's good because
They
then I
are
don't need
aware
to
that it's
cover it.
coming though.
Yeah. So that's a discussion for another clinic. But Those of us that do travel ball, we see that quite often. So that's a whole different set of circumstances. Now, remember I was telling you about a difficult position. This is on a bunt. Do I think that, excuse me, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Do I think that you're going to get all the way to this position if you're 25 years old, maybe, right? If you're 30 years old, maybe. This is what the book says to get your 90 degrees, right? I would suggest that somewhere like you had for a throw coming from the third baseman, a setup over in this position, but far enough away that you still have all the elements in play is plenty good enough. Home plate umpire has running lane responsibility, has runner interference responsibility. All you have is, hey, are we got a force out coming at us? Do we have all the elements we need to make that call? Tag plays. So instead of three elements, now you have two, right? You have, did the runner make contact with the base, be it with the foot, be it with their body, be it with their hand, whatever, right? And or before the defender had possession of the ball and made contact with the runner, right? So sometimes we get tags up in this body position. You need to pay attention to, did that foot touch the base before that tag occurs at her knee, at the top of her shin, at her hip, right? If she's diving head first, did that hand get in there before the defender hit her in the middle of the back or in the back of the head? Things you need to really like make sure that you are looking in the right place, you're set still, and you see what you see, take a beat and make a call. The biggest thing here is that make sure that you're parallel to the runner arriving so that you have a good angle. What you don't want to do, let's pretend this is second base, right? What you don't want to do is be that umpire that's all the way over here looking through the back of the runner and then have something really close happen right here. Main point of this slide, be parallel, be set, see the elements you need to see, and then make a call from there. Zoom in a little bit, but again, remember, don't crunch down and get, inside of 10 feet. You can have the ability to have a ball come off and hit you. You can have the ability to a runner trying to do avoid the tag and slide out here and her feet can clip you. Just try not to get yourself in that spot. Something to work on, right? All right, so we've got a runner on first, and now we're starting in the B position. So you've got parallel movement, right? You've got to pick off at first. So you've started in B, and the girl, gets a good lead off, and now she's coming back. The same concept applies here as it did going into second base. You're going to want to move parallel with that runner back towards first as much as you can to try to get as good of an angle as you can to see if her foot or if her hand got in or her foot got in before that tag was applied, if a tag was applied. The exception to this is something we'll talk about in a little bit when you're over here in the C spot. So we'll get to that in a second. Again, runner on first, she's stealing second. You've started in B, right? And now you're running parallel the best that you can. Try to get in somewhere. I mean, look, this ideal, most of us probably end up somewhere in this neighborhood, right? And you're still able to see, did she get into the base before the tag was applied? Did the throw go over the second baseman's head and did the second baseman obstruct that runner? If so, then there's, ways to handle that, mechanics to handle that. Sticking your left arm out, I've got obstruction. And then make the appropriate call from there. Same thing, steal, right? Runner on first only, and we've started in the B position, and runner takes off and is going to second. You've stayed parallel, right? And now either the throw, bounces off of somebody, the base, it goes over the second baseman's head. You've gotten far enough over where you've got a good angle to see what happens here. And then it's very easy to just circle on around and open up back to this position looking at second base if that ball ended up out in center field or right center field. And then you still have the ability to continue on to third if your partner doesn't call you off. This is a bad picture, so please don't crucify me for this picture. I was having a rough day when I was making this slide, and I couldn't get this guy to turn his back to us for some reason. But steal the second with an overthrow, like we just talked about, right? If the ball really caroms off and goes to the right fielder, right? You want to come this direction if you can, or around this way as well, right? So either one of these is okay. If the ball goes into center field, I would tell you not to do this, right? I would tell you to let that runner come this way. You're set for your play. That ball goes here. I would tell you to circle around and get inside the diamond and take a look at second base so that you've got the throw coming at you along with that runner who's probably now rounded second and maybe going back to second because of a throw. Is that a little bit tough to do? Yes. But you should have enough distance where you've set yourself up that you can react quick enough that it's a moon ball, right? The catcher's got a cannon and the either the shortstop or the second baseman who's ever covering has no chance and that ball goes into center field. That runner should already be there or really close to it, and you can just cut behind her. You've watched her touch, you've watched her round, now you've got the ball coming and you have the ability to get some kind of decent angle coming back to the bag. Same thing, pick off at second, but you've started at in the C position. So you've got a single runner in this scenario, right? You got a single runner at second base. You're shading the second base side shoulder of the shortstop. And in this scenario, you would have no runner on third. If for some reason you had a runner on just third or a runner on second and third, I would tell you that you need to shade the third base shoulder of the shortstop, right? Because more times than not, the throw comes here for a pickoff than it does here. It's got less distance to travel, so you're already set up to where you would have a better angle to make a call here versus a longer throw here, and you could make your way back parallel again, get some type of angle and get still and look for the elements that you need to look for attack.
Carl, if you're in the C position and you've got runners on second and third,
Yep.
how would you get that 90-degree angle for a snap throw to third?
Yeah, so this is really difficult, right? I would tell you that it's probably more like, 75 or 80 degrees, right? You're more than likely you're probably not going to get if you are the third base shoulder of the shortstop, right? And there's a really hard, quick throw, especially if it's a left-handed batter where you don't have a batter in the way, right? And the catcher has to make no other moves to make a throw down to third. Um, you could cheat a step or two, right? If you would really like to. The problem is that one time that you do that, you may end up with a throw here, and now you're really in trouble, right? But I would tell you that again, this is why coming set and having some type of little movement helps you to keep your body moving and you're not just standing still, right? That's number one. Number two, those of us that played baseball or softball as a youngster, hopefully your coaches used to teach you this thing of, hey, have a mental conversation with you based off of whatever your responsibilities are. Okay, I got runners on second and third. What if I got a snap throw to third? What should I do? Where should I be? Have that conversation with yourself every time this is occurring, and you have a little bit better chance to get as good of an angle as you can. Am I telling you that you have to have this 90-degree right? If she's a snap back to third. No, I'm not telling you that. I mean, in theory, really, if you have an angle, like, because you're really straight lined, right? You got a throw coming this way, you're coming this way. But what do you have? You have the ability to look at what elements are coming. So you have a swipe tag, maybe, right? You have did their hand get back to the bag before the tag was applied? And did the defender catch it? This is that scenario where you might need some help from your home plate umpire if their coach wants to come out and question, you know? Home plate umpire could tell you if she made contact with her in the back, right? That you might not have seen, you might have missed it. So she slides back. This is a fairly common thing. She slides back, and you've got one arm on this side of the base and one arm on this side of the base, and a tag is applied to her back or to the back of her head. You may not see that tag applied, but you also don't see, you see swipe and maybe you don't see contact. And then both arms are on either side of the base. She's not made contact with the base. And then either, her head touches the base or one of her hands moves over and touches the base. If there's some type of question there, maybe you need to have a conversation with your partner. But I would tell you to call what you see and live with what you call, right? Unless they come out and ask. If you have an overthrow that ends up in left field, now you've moved this direction, right? You've got a runner coming back to the base who's now going to get up and move this direction. You want to get in this way, right? That's what this arrow is. You want to get in this way and look here in case that left fielder has got a cannon and this runner is, brain farted or late coming back, or maybe she's gotten back and then stumbles as she goes to go back home. That throw is really hot to the third baseman. Now you've got the elements of what you're responsible for, and your home plate umpire partner has their responsibility here with a throw coming back. Again, pick off that third, right? Same kind of thing. You're in C. You can move this direction as well and try to get an angle, Tony, like we were talking about. So you've got just a runner on third, right? Just a runner on third. You can crash in this direction and get some type of an angle parallel with the runner and the base path versus runner on second and third, or just third with an overthrow like we were talking about, right?
Yeah, I
This
would
would
also,
this
I would
this
argue that.
scenario, sorry,
Oh,
Tony,
sorry,
this
go ahead.
scenario is meant to be, even though you see where the runner is, remember, read this, right? Stealing third. So you've started here and now you've moved this direction. Now the throw's coming in front of you and you have the ability to move over and look. Where if it's just a single runner on third or runners on second and third, right? In this scenario, it's just a single runner at third. You would have the ability to come this direction for that pickoff at third base. Or if there is runners on second and third, then you want to apply this type of mechanic here if you can. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say was that if you're going to choose, remember, um, the angle trumps distance, but you really want to be stationary before the elements are have to be judged. So if you don't quite get that 90-degree angle, don't keep moving until you do,
That's right.
at the risk of not seeing what happens.
Right. Exactly. I would tell you to, I mean, you gotta judge where the ball's coming from, and then make sure that you've taken your last step prior to when that ball's about to be caught, right? And come set so that your eyes are set. The last thing you want to do is be moving around while you've got players moving in front of you and you're all moving and you're all trying to make judgments. That's a recipe for disaster. So I would absolutely agree with Tony. Get to the best angle that you possibly can at the as correct of a distance as you can, and then just be set, and then make your call from there. As we just talked about, right? Think of your head as a camera. We all know that what happens when you take pictures that are moving around, it gets all blurry, right? Um, so this body tripod philosophy, this is a very bad habit of mine. I tend to not do a tripod. In other words, I tend not to have my knees bent and my hands on my knees when I make a play. I might do it over in the A position where I'm moving over off of the line for a force out at first, or in the B position where I'm looking at a force play at first, right? The runners ran in front of me already, and now they've chose to throw the ball to first instead of throw the ball to second. I might do it then. But at least be still, be facing the direction that you need to be facing, and then timing and tempo. Did I see the throw into the glove with possession before the runner touches the base? Did I see the ball in the glove and the tag applied before any part of her body touches the base? See those things, play that in your head for just a second, and then make your call either safe or out. And don't be afraid to take a beat. Don't take 5 beats. 5 beats means you're not sure. But a beat means, hey, I've seen what I've seen. I'm decisive enough, right? Don't be too quick, I guess is my suggestion to you from there. Come here. All right. How do we do our job a little bit better? A lot of the things that we've already talked about, right? Be stopped and still if we can. What we need to see clearly as possible. I'm gonna kill this friggin' dog. My damn wife's dog is a pain in my ass. Sorry, fellas and ladies. Um, Make sure that you're seeing all the elements you need to see. Before the pitch, if runners are on, our job is to make sure the runner does not leave the base until the ball has left the pitcher's hand. Now, this becomes difficult for younger umpires and some older umpires when you've got multiple runners on base, right? If you're over in you use your peripheral vision, right? So if you are in the B position, you can tell peripherally, right? If the runner on first or the runner on second has left the base prior to that pitch being delivered. Does anybody disagree with that? No. Good. C position with bases loaded. Who's the bigger threat for leaving early? I would tell you to try to pay attention to who the bigger threat is for leaving early. Who do we think the bigger threat for leaving early might be in a scenario like that? Some people say that's the runner on third. I would tell you that I think it's the runner on first trying to get a jump going to second. So you're looking at the pitcher to make sure that they're not doing what? That they're not replanting. That's also part of your responsibility as the home plate umpire or the base umpire as an illegal pitch. So they're not replanting before they've pitched. And if you're in the C position and you're looking where you're supposed to be looking, who's in your direct line of vision? Your direct line of vision is the runner on first base. So that is the base that you can pay attention to. Peripherally, you can see that the runner on third, right? If they're way off, you should be able to judge that, but make sure that you're damn sure that they left early before you go calling something like that. And two, hopefully the home plate umpire can help you with the runner at second with bases loaded or runners on second and third, because again, they're in the same spot as you. They're straight line to the runner on second and can tell if that runner left early. Remember, if we have runners, and the word if is a very short word, but a very powerful word. Pay attention to what I'm about to say, please. If you are sure that a runner has left early, your responsibility is to dead ball, arms above your head, runner left early, runner is out, and runners return back to the base that they started at. Do not let that play continue. You better be sure, though, that they have left early. Leaving simultaneous to the pitch leaving the pitcher's hand is not leaving early. So don't be one of the guys that is nitpicking this rule to death, please. Make darn sure that girl is off the base before the pitch if you're going to call leaving early. Set before the release. Base umpire must watch the runner, watch the pitcher, Make sure the runner doesn't leave until the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. Like we said, that's a lot of stuff going on, right? Watching two diverse places and both are moving, that's a really tough thing to do. So pay attention to the keys that you're supposed to pay attention to, and you'll be just fine. Be set. Pitchers moving, runners moving, balls moving, right? The last thing you should do to be is be moving yourself. So inside out, let's talk about this for 1 minute, and then we'll turn some time over because we're almost at 9 o'clock. So inside out, those of us that grew up in the old school ASA, USA days where everything is a button hook in no matter what, that's perfectly fine. You can absolutely do that. I would suggest to you to do something that's called working the rim, right? So if you're in the A position or even in the B position and you've got a fly ball to center, or left field, or threatening the left field line, why do you need to be inside the diamond? You can stay out here. You can still see the responsibilities that you need to see, right? And then you have the ability to not be in anybody's way, right? You're not going to fall down in the middle of the diamond. You're not going to get hit. You better not get hit with a throw from any of these spots. And you still have time to see everything that you're responsible for. If the ball is over your head, right? So you're in A or you're in B, or even if you're in C, if the ball is over your head, you need to get inside the diamond, directly over your head, right? So if you're in A and the ball is going to right field, maybe even right center or straight down the right field line, get inside the diamond. Keep the ball and all players and all elements in front of you. If it's over on this side, you're fine. If you're in C, ball goes over your head, goes to center field, goes to left field down the line, get inside the diamond, open up in the direction of whatever runner it is that you're responsible to watch. So remember, home plate umpire has lead runners, base umpire has trail runners. So runner coming from first to second, right, would be your responsibility. If there was a runner on third, or just a runner on first, or a runner on first to third, right? If you're a runner on just on first, you're over here. If there's a runner on first and third, or a runner on first to second, you've got runner coming from first to second, and you've got batter runner. Home plate umpire has lead runner. That also applies for tag ups on fly balls. It's the exact same concept. If for some reason you guys end up deviating from this scenario on fly balls, for instance, you're in C, there's a runner on third, and there's a hot shot down the right field line this way. The home plate umpire has fair foul and catch no catch. By book, you have this tag up, right? If you guys have talked, which I would suggest that you maybe not do this, but I know people that do. I hesitate to put this in your head, but you're going to run across people that do it anyway. They're going to tell you, hey, as the base umpire, I'm going to take this tag up for you. And you're going to just be responsible for catch, no catch, fair foul. And I got the tag up. If that occurs, make sure if you're the plate umpire that's doing that you've given some type of verbal signal on the touch or the catch out here so that they know at what point is this runner free to go. Does that make sense? Any questions about any of that? Good. I think we're about done, Tony. It's 9:01. We've got a few more slides to go, but we can do it on another day. It's no worries.
Well, the meeting technically goes till
Oh,
9:15.
it does? Okay.
So you can, I mean, let's get through them
I'll
quickly
try.
so
Yep.
people can, move on with what they're
Yep.
going to do this evening.
Got it. So ball in center field or ball in left field, right? Ball in center field, ball in left field. Again, stay outside, get a good angle from wherever the ball is coming from. Make sure that we're paying attention to runner and elements that you need to see in front of you. Ball in right field and you've started in B. What are we telling you to do? In this graphic, I got it right. I don't know why I couldn't get the other graphic guy to turn his back on me. But you're going to let that runner clear, right? And then you're going to get behind her. And then you're going to open up in the right direction. Don't turn this way and turn your back to the runner. Turn this direction and turn your chest towards where you're trying to make a call, which would be at second base. Again, over your head, come inside the diamond. If it's a double, right? You've started in A, you've come here, she's touched, you're working parallel, you're getting a good angle. If it's a triple, you've started here, you've gotten to where you need to be, you're moving parallel. And if you're plate umpire, or you are quick and you guys don't deviate, continue on around. Some people, I know, if the ball is in the outfield, right, which would be a triple, then they would cut behind this runner as they touch second and then work parallel this way. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that either, right? In this scenario like this, right? If it's a triple, you've come this way, they're going to get to second, then you can cut behind them, and now you can open up and keep them in front of you all the way to third. Same thing down here. Strive for a 90 if you can, right? Remember, work the L, start thinking and experimenting with working outside if you're a person that doesn't normally do that. And then remember, keep that ball in front of you. Keep that play in front of you. And that's it.
That is excellent stuff, Carl. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Did they want us to re-review any of the slides? Just to get it right. I'm gonna if you want, you can unmute yourself and just ask a question. Otherwise, we thank Carl and everybody for participating, and good luck with the rest of the season. We'll stick around for just a couple minutes in case you think of a question that you want to ask. Otherwise, everybody have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Hopefully we learned something.
Nice job, Carl.
Oh, thanks, Pat.
Tony, average.
Well,
As always, but that's all I was striving for.
Hey, average is pretty good, man, nowadays. What can you do? Sorry about my dog. That damn little dog has got like separation anxiety, man. Anybody
never
gets on
heard
the
it.
anybody gets
Carl,
on the
we didn't
phone
hear
around
it.
him. Oh,
We
it's
didn't. We
terrible.
couldn't hear the dog.
I didn't
Oh,
hear
that's
it,
good.
dog.
My wife's got this little Yorkie that friggin' yaps like a friggin' crazy dog. So if you're on the phone around it, it stands here at your feet and yaps at you. Oh,
Got to play with the elements.
yeah.
All right, guys.
Steve, do you agree with the statements about appeals?
Yeah,
Like you asked? Okay.
no, I actually had to toss the Milford coach in districts because of an inappropriate bad appeal. And it was funny because it was a snap throw to third, and I ruled her safe. I wasn't sure, so just keep. And he comes out and he's like, "Hey, Steve, you can ask Dino for help." I said, "Coach, that's not a proper appeal. Are you
Yeah.
gonna ask him for help or not?" And I said, "No, you know what, Coach, I'm good." He's
Yeah.
like, "Well, that was a crap call."
Okay.
Like,
Well,
all right, well, see ya.
yeah. See ya. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
All right.
I'm out. All right, see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
I'm gonna
See
go
ya.
ahead and end the meeting now, and like I
Okay.
said, appreciate everybody. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.